Hello, DreamMakers. Welcome back to lesson 2 of your dream extravaganza. Okay, so lesson 1, I loved how you guys really embraced the content that I shared and shared your own stories, kind of where you're at with your own dreams, what's working, what's not. We got a ton of questions. So before we get into today's lesson, I'm going to try and answer at least a few of them. And like I said, the questions that I'm not able to cover in these videos, I will be sure to capture all of them and put together a monster FAQ. So I'll include the place to capture your email if you haven't signed up, so you can make sure to get all of your questions answered, because this is my love letter to you guys. I wanted to share what I've learned, what I've experienced, both from my own personal journey as well as working with hundreds and hundreds of people, helping them make their dreams come true, because you can do it. I have complete faith in you, and with the tips and tricks and methodology that I've developed over the years, it's much simpler than you might think it is. You'll have to wrestle with some alligators, limiting beliefs being the biggest one, but you absolutely can do it. So excited you're here. Let's go with round 2, and let's start with some questions. Is it really possible? My dreams are pretty out there. I love this question, because for me, as the president and chief fairy godmother of DreamMakers, one of my favorite things is to see how wild and crazy some of the dreams are. I love those kinds of dreams. So the short answer is yes, it is possible, no matter whether your dream is to learn a new language, or start a business, or write a book, right? Those are kind of more normal. Travel dreams are pretty common. Those are absolutely doable, no questions asked. But even the more unusual, involved, crazy, right? Pretty out there dreams, those are totally doable too. Like one of the dreams on my list is I want to go to outer space. Like, I want that moment that you see in every astronaut outer space movie where they're like floating through the air and, little droplets of water are floating and they're catching them in their mouth. I want that experience. So that is what I would consider a pretty far out dream. And that one is still totally doable. Like, it's on my list. It's going to happen in my lifetime. And there are things that I can be doing today to prepare myself, right? Like, I've got Google alerts and I'm tracking and seeing what's going on. So, excellent question. Whether your dream is big or small, simple, complicated, very mainstream, or wild, crazy, your dream is absolutely doable. The methodology that I've put together for DreamMakers works on all dreams so far. I have yet to find a dream that it didn't work for. And yeah, it's a matter of commitment. You have to believe that your dream is possible. Because if you don't think you can do it, then it doesn't matter how much heavy lifting I do, how many resources I give you, how much hand holding, I can't drag you to your dream. You have to want it. You have to be out in front taking the lead. But once that's in place and you're like, yes, I'm willing to do what it takes to make my dream happen, that's when things really get exciting and it opens up and we can just rock and roll and get all sorts of stuff done to make your dream come true. So I believe in you. I've seen lots and lots and lots of other people accomplish their dreams. I've accomplished my own dreams, and there's nothing, I'm unique and special in the way that we are all unique and special. So there's not some secret sauce that I have that you don't have same access to. All right, so I'm going to have to answer these questions faster. I'm taking up too much time, and we've got a lot of great content to get to. All right, next question. What if I fail? Oh. Thank you for being brave enough to ask this question, because this is huge. Dreams are an expression of your spirit, right? They are goals with soul. And so there's a possibility that you might stumble. Ultimately, I think you're going to be successful. But failure may be part of it, right? There may be lessons that you're learning along the way. And that can be hard. It can be hard. And for me, my experience, having a safe place to fail, like having a safe place like DreamMakers, where you're surrounded by people who are all pursuing dreams and going after big, audacious goals that sort of get it and have, tripped and stumbled and have the skin knees to prove it. There's something really encouraging and helpful about being surrounded by people like yourself who are going through it, because you just sort of get it on an intuitive level, right? So when I'm in dream camp and someone's struggling and we're having our weekly Q&A calls, and I'm talking to one person about their struggles and the trials and tribulations that they're going through in that moment, but everybody else on the call is like, totally been there. You are not alone. This kind of stuff happens, right? Because you're stretching, you're doing something you've never done before. And you're not going to be perfect at it the first time. You're just not. So I think as adults, we have forgotten the joy of learning. And we have put such high expectations on ourselves that the first time we try to learn a new language, that we're just going to remember every vocabulary word that we're given. When we were little, we didn't have those expectations. As children, we didn't have those expectations. When you were a toddler, the first time you tried to walk, of course I'm going to be able to walk. Or the first time you tried to ride a bike, that I'm just going to go, that I'm not going to lose my balance and fall over, right? That's what training wheels are for. And that is what DreamMakers, Dream Camp, this masterclass are all about. Creating that environment, giving you the support so that even if you do fail, you take a moment, catch your breath, and then you regroup, get back up, and keep going. This will be the last question, and then we'll get into the new content. So there are some other questions that people have asked, which are fantastic questions. I will answer them. I'm going to have to do it in the FAQ email. This last one actually kind of fits with the previous, what if I fail? This one is, who will support me? Excellent question. So there's sort of two, when I think of this, because you're absolutely going to need support. As you're striving to make your dream happen, you're pushing yourself beyond what you believe you can do, right? We all, whether we know it or not, sort of have these self-imposed limits that we place on ourselves because we think, okay, well, this is what I've seen myself. I know I can do these things. Beyond that, I'm not sure. So having support, huge, 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 huge. And I think of it as sort of there's two different groups. So there's DreamMakers, and then there are the people in your life. You want both of them because, you can post questions. I'll answer as quickly as possible. We've got a team here ready to respond. And sometimes we might be asleep, right? Depending on what part of the world you're in. So you want both groups. With DreamMakers, I'm here. We've got a whole staff that are always available to answer your questions. In Dream Camp, there is a ton of handholding. I've built the course specifically so you're never without support. I've got office hours on Facebook. There are Skype Q&A calls. There are Facebook Lives. If you choose, you can have an accountability buddy. There's tons and tons and tons of support because we're all going through this together. And, as the chief fairy godmother, I know I like to call it the seedy underbelly of making a dream happen, because it's not like Cinderella. I just wave a magic wand, poof, you're in a beautiful dress and we're done. right? It's the, okay, so what do you do when the carriage turns into a pumpkin and your evil step monster comes looking for you, right? Those are the moments that you need to be prepared for. And that's when you need support, right? So DreamMakers, we've got tons of support. I personally, when I'm trying to learn something new or something that scares me, especially something that's really important to me, that I'm like, oh, this is, I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve for this project. Then I want even more support. And what about the people in your life? This one is critical for you to think about, because not everyone in your life is worthy of you sharing your spirit, right? There are some people you can trust your heart with, and there are some people that you simply can't. And that's okay, right? You don't have to tell everyone everything, right? So this is where using your own life experience and your own discernment comes in to decide who are the people that I can entrust my heart to? Who are the people that I can trust my dream to? And who are the people that I want to share this journey with? Well, actually, we'll talk a little bit more about that in the class today. But what I would say for now is you really only need 1, 2, max 3 people that you can sort of share the nitty-gritty day-to-day experience of making your dream happen with while you're going through it. After you've made your dream come true and you're riding that high and you've wrestled all of the gators and you've conquered all of the hills, and you're like once it's all said and done, then share it with everyone, right? Because you'll be lit up in a way and everybody like, hey, I want what she's got. I want what he's got. But while you're going through it, I would say think about, 1 to 3 people, because there will be ups, but there'll also be downs, right? Because you're stretching, you're growing. So there'll be expansion and contraction as you're going through this process. So great questions. Keep them coming in. I love how you're engaging with this material and how you're being courageous and really sharing what's going on with you. So love it, love it, love it. Keep it coming in. Here, I'll try and answer more questions at the beginning of the next video. Or like I said, we're going to be putting together this monster FAQ. Okay, so thank you for your questions. Keep them coming in. I think it's fantastic how you guys are engaging with the content and really wrestling it out, like really thinking about, hey, I do have this dream. What's it going to be like? What's the experience going to be like? Is this something that I really want to take on right now? Love it. Love, love, love it. Okay, so just as a quick reminder of a few logistical things to get the most out of our time together today, beginner's mind. Come to this blank slate, open heart, and continue to ask yourself as we're going through this, how can this help me? How can I use the information right now, today, to move my dream forward? Or to get the courage to start taking action. There's a lot of stuckness that you have to get through, from sitting on the couch thinking about your dream. Maybe someday it would be really cool if, to actually making that phone call and arranging your travel plans if you want to go somewhere, or sitting down and staring at that blank screen and starting to type your masterpiece. Right? There's some inertia you have to overcome to get into action. And that's what I'm hoping over this 4-part masterclass, we help loosen it up a little bit and give you some encouragement, give you some tools that you can use to get in there. Like, get off the couch, get in the game, start making your dream happen. So to that end, throughout this lesson, be thinking, how can I use this? How can this help me? How can I apply this today? Some of the stuff may be new information for you. Some of it may be content that you're familiar with. So always have that beginner's mind with you. Approach this content from a beginner's mind, and you may see new opportunities, new paths to make your dream happen that you've never seen before. The other thing that I'll say is try and turn off distractions. Mark this time as sacred for you to move forward on your dream for just this hour while we're going through this content. Okay, so in the last lesson, we were talking about what your dream is, how I define a dream, whether it's a wish your heart makes, thank you, Disney, or a goal with soul, or just some big, audacious aspiration that you would love to achieve. Through that conversation, though, I mentioned DreamMakers a few times, and there were some questions about, well, wait, what is DreamMakers? Because for me, DreamMakers is my dream. I have created DreamMakers to be the means by which I facilitate accomplishing my dream of making 1 million dreams happen globally. So in the last video, I talked about just how I wasn't even aware that Vacation Arwen could live in the real world, and that from that Vacation Arwen place where I was grounded in my power and I was more playful and creative, that was the fertile ground from which I could accomplish amazing dreams that it never even had occurred to me were possible. That is the same fertile ground, the same sort of head space, heart space that I was in when I created DreamMakers. Because I believe that everyone on this planet, we each get stuck in our day-to-day, and we're so focused on doing the right thing, doing things perfectly, giving everyone what they need. So performing well at work, being a great spouse or partner if you're in a relationship, if you've got children, then being a superb mother or father, while also paying the bills, picking up the dry cleaning, putting food on the table, trying to get, a workout in at some point so that we can take care of our health. Like, we've got all of this stuff going on, and then trying to track what's happening in the world, keep up with the news, politics, being a good citizen, helping your next door neighbor, maybe you're part of a faith community. Like, there's so much going on, and we're in reaction mode constantly. So it's a little, tail wagging the dog is how, at least my experience, that was how my life was. And maybe that's how your life is, that you just feel like you are running from errand to errand, getting your to-do list done. Well, who are we kidding? You never actually get your to-do list done, but sometimes you get to check things off the to-do list. Well, at least I knocked that off the list. And I believe we've gotten so focused on the busyness of life that we've lost sight of who we are. We've lost our connection to our spirit, to our source of power. And so we've forgotten how incredible we really are, how exquisite, how powerful we really can be when we focus on one specific thing, let alone when you come together as a small group to accomplish one specific goal. So that is the birthing place of DreamMakers. I want to create an environment where people are coming together to help each other make their dreams happen. But a lot of us, myself included, have had that experience of, like, you're looking at Facebook and everybody's lives look perfect. They're always in love, right? Because it's curated. So they're only putting up the best pictures. You're only sharing the best meals that you've had, right? And so the technology has made us feel more isolated, more alone, more like we don't measure up. And so I want to use those same technologies, instead of kind of making us feel worse about ourselves and more stressed out and more like, oh, now I've got to, cook these gourmet meals and post them on like that. Just instead of expanding our to-do list in a way that is sort of soul-sucking, DreamMakers uses those technologies to bring people together in a powerful way to rally around one specific goal, a dream that you have, so that, like the person who was asking the question about, well, who's going to support me? I'm creating this incubator if you will, where you can get guidance, get questions answered, and grow your dream to fruition. That's the point of DreamMakers, to harness this technology to tap into a global community of individuals, like-minded, open-hearted, willing to share their talents and resources and wisdom and expertise to help each other make their dreams come true. So that is where DreamMakers started from, and that is what you are part of now. So in working with clients, what I find is we're all kind of treading water. We're all, not always, right? But we're all, to a certain extent, kind of going through the motions. And each task, each activity, each opportunity, we're not making decisions from a what is most important to me place, right? Usually the what's most important to me, we kind of put it in the family box. And so family is what's most important. And so we do whatever we can for our family, which is great and powerful, but that's like one sliver of the pie. I believe you can have meaningful relationships with your family. You can do meaningful work as a career. You can be meaningfully engaged in your community, right? Like, your time is precious. So you want to make sure you are investing it in the things that matter to you, i.e., making your dream happen. Your dream is just that good. When you're pursuing something that is important to you, that you really, really want, when you allow yourself to desire, when you open your heart and really say, yes, I want to achieve X, all sorts of wonderful things start happening. First, you kind of settle into yourself in a way that you hadn't been before. Because now we're not doing small talk anymore. Now we're having some real conversation, right? Now you're engaged in the messy beautifulness of your dream, right? And through that, there's a lit upness, there's a vitality, a passion that comes through that is hugely valuable. And frankly, I want to see more people in the world. I want to surround myself with people who are in that lit up, I can do anything world of possibility place, because it's just much more engaging. It's much more powerful. And it's better for your health, right? When you're engaged in something that's meaningful for you, there's a grounding. Like, you come home to yourself in a way that if you're just treading water and reacting and going through to-do lists, cortisol, 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 cortisol. Pursuing a dream has a rock solid, okay, I'm going to do this. There's a decision, a determination that we don't always experience. Pursuing your dream, you might be the only person in your circle, in your tribe, that is actively pursuing a dream, right? That's the power of having a DreamMakers community to support you, and a couple of really good friends, 1 to 3 people in your own world to support you. But you might be, other than those 1 or 2 people who are there to be your cheerleaders, even with that, you may be the only person in your group that is actively pursuing a dream. So you become a role model to them of, hey, wait a minute, it's possible. You guys have all probably heard this, but there's a great story in the early 1900s, and I don't remember the people's names, but for a long time, it was just common knowledge across the world that humans could not run fast enough to hit a 4-minute mile. It was just a barrier because everybody knew it wasn't possible. Nobody had seen it done. There wasn't a role model to say, yeah. And then this one person who didn't buy into that it's not possible just did it. And in the year that he did it, as word got out of, wait a minute, and I'm pretty sure it was a guy. I feel like it was a guy in the late 1910s, maybe 1920s. If I find out, I'll have a little scrolly thing. But As word got out that this guy broke the 4-minute mile, in that 1 year, you had, I don't know, I think a couple dozen people who broke the 4-minute mile simply because now they had a role model. Somebody had done it. And if that person can do it, then so can I. So pursuing your dream is hugely valuable for your own experience as well as for the people around you. It's a way for you, just by pursuing what's important to you, that you can lift up all of the people in your life as you share your experience of making a dream come true. It's super cool, and a way to flip switches and open possibilities and like, well, if Arwen can do that, maybe I can be a priest. Maybe I can write this book. Maybe I can compete in that burro race. Maybe I can spend 6 weeks in Italy without, going into a crazy amount of debt. Maybe it's possible, right? It's just, we talked last time about how powerful your beliefs are, the things you think. You can be a role model and help the people in your lives see their own lives maybe a little bit differently. Something else is possible for them. It's really exciting. So you show up differently. Just by pursuing your dream, you settle into yourself. You become a little bit more of yourself. You reveal more of yourself in a way that you're totally comfortable with. Like, this is who I am, and thank goodness, finally, I'm doing something about it. I've been sitting on this book idea for a decade. Finally, I'm getting it out of me, right? You're lit up in a way, you're shining light, right? You become a shining light that casts out all of the darkness of busy, day job, bills, right? You get out of that mode and start to become intentional about your own life. And through your example, you're giving others permission to be intentional about their lives. So one of the things for this lesson I really want you to think about is, to whom do you want to dedicate your dream pursuit? What I mean by that is, going through this process, working to make your dream come true, you will start to build your dream maker muscle, right? That's why I call it dream makers, because we are actually making dreams happen. It's not some woo-woo wave a magic wand and things miraculously appear. Although there is a little bit of magic that certainly happens as you start to pursue your dream, that zim-zum with the universe. The people you need to make your dream come true suddenly start showing up because you're putting energy, you're putting focused attention, and you're talking about it. And you're open to, hey, I really want to be Ella Fitzgerald for a night. Who's got a stage that I can sing on? Who's got a band that wouldn't mind spending an evening, 3 songs backing me up, right? You start to talk about it, and 6 degrees of separation. You talk to this person, you talk to that person, right? So there is a little bit of magic, but for the most part, it's you taking action that's making your dream happen. And in that process, you learn to value yourself and honor yourself, right? Historically, and even still today, I am much better if I make a commitment that I will be at a certain location at a certain time to meet someone else, then I'm going to show up. If I say, well, I really want to go check out this art exhibit, just me, myself, maybe I make it to the art exhibit, or very often I allow life to happen because I don't honor the commitments I make to myself necessarily in the same way that I honor the commitments I make to someone else. I've gotten much better, and I think you'll see that going through the process, the journey of making your dream happen, that will get much stronger for you too, if it's not something that you're particularly good at. But what I found to be even more powerful is dedicating your dream to someone. So it's still your dream. It's still what you want to accomplish. None of that changes. And I am doing this dream to honor my grandmother, who grew up in a time when women didn't have the same options that I do, right? I am standing on her shoulders. And so I am dedicating my dream to her because she couldn't do it, but I can, right? Maybe that's who you want to dedicate it to, or your children. I am going to pursue my dream so that my children see it's possible. And it's not just when mom says you can do anything that you get the eye roll. Well, mom says you can do anything because mom knows that she can do anything. And oh, by the way, kid, you're watching your mom do something that she thought was impossible, right? To whom do you want to dedicate your dream? There's huge power in it, and it's a great touchstone when we get to the difficult parts or the problems that you're not sure how to solve, or you're just exhausted because you haven't been taking care of yourself, because you get so excited about pursuing your dream. They're like, no, just one more thing. Let me finish. Those are the moments to remember, wait, I have dedicated this dream to my grandmother. I've dedicated this dream to my daughter. I've dedicated this dream to your postman. I don't care who it is. It's someone who's important to you that you want to dedicate your dream to. And that person will be a person of support. Whether they're here or not, whether they know, you don't have to tell them that you've dedicated your dream to them. You can if you want, but you don't have to. Just knowing that I am doing this for my grandmother totally changes how I approach DreamMakers than if it's just me. Like if it's just me, it's important. Add my grandmother, add my future daughter or my nephews or my parents, or all of a sudden, okay, like I might have let myself down, but shit, I'm not going to let them down. Now I'm all in. I'm really going to make my dream happen. Most people I've worked with have held on to a dream for at least a decade. And when I show up, hi, I'm Arwen, your fairy godmother. What's the dream that we're going to make happen? There's a, oh, thank goodness. I have been sitting on this hot potato for a decade, just waiting for someone to show up and ask. Here's my dream. Well, there's a cost to sitting on that dream for a decade or more. So I'm working with a client right now who has this incredible dream. She herself is a caregiver, and we're going to see more and more caregivers. Her situation, she's got an adult son who has special needs. And so for 20, 25 years, her primary role has been taking care of him and making sure he gets what he needs and navigating the school system and the medical community to get him the care he needs, right? Like all of that stuff. She and her husband, so her husband's been the main breadwinner, and her main focus has been caring for her son, which is a 24/7, day in, day out, year in, year out, really important and fulfilling and exhausting, stressful job, right? Depending on the situation and what's going on. So early in her experience, she was like, oh, it would be great to have someone who could just sort of help cut through the red tape, and just to have a place for a weekend or a week that the caregiver could go, a resource center that would help navigate and just help you fill up your tank again, right? Because that's one of those really important, got to get stuff done, sleep deprived, right? Like that's one of those really important situations that you want to be your best at. And it's really easy to have moments of frustration and, just tears because you're exhausted and you don't know what to do and you don't know where to go for help, and right? So I can see huge potential in this dream. It's incredible. Like it's just such a beautiful expression of her heart, her spirit, and it's a huge need, right? Like once she shared her dream with me, I started looking around like at the grocery store or in my faith community, in my neighborhood. I started to look around and I saw all of these caregivers. So I can absolutely, in my own life, I've got at least half a dozen people who, if this place existed, I would recommend them in a heartbeat to go spend time and refill their batteries, like recharge, right? It's an extraordinary dream that has huge potential to do incredible good in the world, right? But she hasn't made it happen, right? Because she's afraid of it, because it feels big and scary. And how can I do that and be a caregiver, right? Like she's got these competing, conflicting priorities of wait, but can I and how? And so in the meantime, she's got this calling, right? So she's got this little angel sitting on her shoulder going, really, the center, this is what you were meant to do. And she keeps pushing it aside. I'm ignoring it. I don't know how. You're freaking me out. I'm too exhausted right now. Oh, wait, there's a window. I could start working on it now. Nope, not going to do. Right. And so instead, she tries to fill that void, that longing that she has, that wish her heart has made. She tries to fill it with other things. So if she sees a caregiver at another table at a restaurant, she might secretly pick up their check. Or, donate some extra money to her favorite causes. Because when we cure the diseases, then the caregivers won't be as necessary, right? The caregivers will get a break. So or she'll leave an extra big tip for her waitress. Like she's trying to find ways to do good in the world to satisfy that hole in her heart that only her dream can fill. And in the process, she's not satisfied. Like she feels good for a moment, right? Like it's nice to be Secret Santa and pick up somebody's check or buy coffee for the person behind, right? Like that's just a fun thing to do. And if you haven't done that, totally start that as a practice because, it doesn't cost a lot of money and it really gives a boost to your day. Being able to help somebody really is the easiest way to get out of your head and out of your problems. Just volunteer a couple of hours or pay it forward in some way. But if that's not your heart's longing, it's not going to satisfy you in the same way. There's going to be a momentary hit. And then after that, you're going to be like, yeah, that was good. I'm making do. You feel like you're making do because that soul satisfying, I am pursuing my dream. I am creating this national resource center, right? Picking up a check does not have the same, this is what I'm doing, impact of her dream. So there's that, all right, well, someday I'll make that dream happen. But right now, I don't even know where to start. I would have to completely disrupt my life. I just can't do it. I don't have the bandwidth. I can't even be thinking about it. So I'm going to ignore it and pretend I'm not thinking about it. And somehow that will satisfy me. Somehow that will temporarily solve the issue. Nope, it does not work that way. So you've got that secret longing, that secret desire that you're just not pursuing. And so you're trying to fill it with other stuff and do things that are sort of close to your dream. Like maybe if I do just a mini version, that would be satisfying. And sometimes it is, but the vast majority of the time it's not. You just need to pursue your dream. It's that simple. So you keep hoping that maybe someday you'll be in a position to pursue your dream because you have all of these thoughts and ideas about what it takes to pursue your dream. One of the DreamMakers that I've worked with, his dream was to write a book. And he'd had this dream for at least, I think it was like 8 years or something. He had this book idea. And so we sat down to lunch because he was doing some tech work for DreamMakers. And we sat down at lunch and inevitably, okay, so what's your dream? Came up. So the conversation got around to dreams. And his perspective was, well, I have this book idea that I want to write, but to write the book, I'm going to have 2 years of salary saved because I have a wife and a family to support. I've got 2 little kids that I have to take care of. And I don't have anywhere near that amount of money saved up. And I have to quit my job to be able to write. So this dream just isn't possible for me. That was his perspective. And so we sat down and we worked through it. Well, okay, what do you have? He had a ton of vacation that he never took. And I'm like, okay, well, why don't you start there? Like, schedule some 3-day retreats for yourself, send the wife and kids to some great hotel somewhere so that it's a vacation for them too, and just buckle down once a month, once a quarter, once whatever, and write. Just start writing. Like, start to get it out. Like, just overcome that inertia. Get off the sofa and on the keyboard, right? That's what we talked about. And in that process, like the switch flipped. And he started to realize that he'd had all of these expectations of, what it means to be a writer. And there's only one way that you can write a novel. And through that switch got flipped. And well, here I have spent 8 years thinking about this and playing with the idea, but not taking any action. And there were tons of ways that I could make that dream come true. And 2 years later, I got an email from him saying, hey, here's what I did. He didn't quit his job. He didn't have to have 2 years' salary saved. And he'd written his first novel, almost 1,000 pages long. And he was in the process of finding an agent and an editor, and he was working on the second one. And the before and after, the frustration and just it's heartbreaking. When you have a dream and you feel like you can't pursue it, it's just heartbreaking. So to go from that sort of heartbreaking, it was painful to watch him feel stuck in I can't do it. Like, it's just not physically possible. We can't save 2 years, right? To go from that frustration and sadness to, holy shit, the front door, I just did it. And oh, by the way, I'm working on the next one. It was night and day difference. And that's the cost of delaying, right? Being stuck in that it's never going to happen for me. That is not an empowering place to live, right? Once he made it happen, all sorts of other things. There were all sorts of wonderful ripple effects in his life, his relationship, his kids, right? Like all of that stuff I was talking about. Who are you dedicating this to? Being a role model for your like all of those things started to happen, and there's a ripple effect, a wave effect that just sort of rippled throughout his entire tribe, right? That's actually why I want to make 1 million dreams happen globally, because I think that should be enough pebbles in the lake of humanity that we'll start rocking and rolling. Like, we'll wake up in a way that we haven't been before, so that all of the big, truly scary monster problems become less big, scary monster and just a matter of will and determination. Because if I made my dream happen, then I can certainly do this. One person can make a difference, right? That's the impact I want to have. And that's what I saw with my author. Super powerful. The last cost that I want to talk about around delaying pursuing your dream, putting it off until, because there's always like, yeah, I'm going to do it someday. Maybe someday when the kids go off to college, or I get that promotion, or I retire, or blah, 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 blah. There's always it's not like you're saying no. You're living in this purgatory. Maybe I'll pursue my dream, maybe I won't, right? Instead of just decide, do it or don't. My grandfather, huge golf fanatic, had a membership at a club, played 2-3 times a week, 1836 holes for, 50 years or something, 60 years, like crazy golf fanatic. And so when my dad was about my age. He had a business trip that he had the opportunity to play the course at St. Andrews, which, if you're not a golf person, that's like sacred ground where golf was invented. Huge, crazy big deal to play St. Andrews. So my dad came back, told my granddad all about the trip, the experience, the holes, like the hazard, just complete, and my granddad loved it. And so my dad and granddad talked about going together. My dad wanted to take my granddad to St. Andrews. They talked about the trip that my dad went on and let's do it maybe someday. But that's all they did. They just talked. And then my granddad died. And to this day, one of my dad's biggest regrets is that he didn't take his father to St. Andrews. And now it's too late. That had a huge impact. Like you can see, I'm getting emotional just talking about it now. That had a huge impact because I was in my early 20s when that happened. So fast forward, a couple of years ago, I stumbled across this Band of Brothers tour that the World War II Museum in New Orleans takes people to all of the places that the Band of Brothers paratroopers went. And if you don't know what any of this is about, you can Google it. But for World War II buffs, big deal. These guys did incredibly heroic, unbelievable things. My dad was a huge fan. So I sent him for Father's Day the brochure with the, hey, what do you think? I think you should block June of next year. And at first, he had all of the same objections that we all have when we're faced with the opportunity to actually pursue an honest to goodness dream. Well, I don't know what I'm doing with my time. I don't know what's going to be happening because this was a year out. I don't know what's going to be happening next June. I don't think I can really afford it. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, hold on, time out, stop. This will be my Father's Day gift for you. So I took money off the table. He didn't have an excuse. He had to buy the ticket, right? We had to get the flights there. But the actual tour, that was going to be my Father's Day gift. Once in a lifetime opportunity. And so from the moment he was like, oh, okay. So we spent a whole year talking about the trip and what we were going to do. And he blocked off his calendar. So he was like, okay. Some of his best friends' son got married. And he's like, okay, I want to be there. I'm going to be there. You just can't get married in June. I'm going to be gone for these 2 weeks, these 3 weeks. Absolutely adorable. So we had that whole year to plan and scheme and think about and figure out and what are we going to pack and how are we. So it was a whole year to look forward to it. But it wasn't the maybe someday look forward to it. It was the excitement and anticipation of, holy, shut the front door. This is really happening. It's now 6 months. It's now 3 months. Holy smokes, we're going in 2 weeks, right? It was that anticipation and excitement of something that you're actually making happen, that is coming to fruition. And then Dad and I went. I am not a World War II buff, although now I am, because they are absolutely the greatest generation. And now I really get what those words mean in a way that I didn't before. So we went and we stood on the beaches of Normandy on the anniversary of D-Day. We went everywhere that these guys went. And we had the bonus, unexpected, incredible opportunity to meet some of the survivors, some of the World War II veterans. It's a big deal, June 6th. It's a big deal, D-Day. There's all sorts of celebrations, and we got to shake the hands and listen to the stories of the men who were actually there, which won't be around forever. They're in their 90s. So it was an extraordinary trip, and my dad, I've never seen my dad. He was like a little kid Christmas morning the whole time. He made friends with the cool kids, and they were talking about all of their nerdy World War II stuff. And I'm like, cool. I'm learning all sorts, but it was just a delight to be able to see the impact that I was able to have helping him make this dream come true. And watching him experience this once in a lifetime trip and doing it with me, right? Because we won't always have blocks of time that we can go off for 3 weeks together. Had a wonderful trip. And now coming back, he knows this is possible. You can make a dream happen. I know the power of helping make someone's dream come true, especially someone you love. And every time we talk, practically, he thanks me for that trip and we get to relive it. He was telling my uncle about it. And it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful memory that we'll have for the rest of our lives. So that is the power. Denying yourself that opportunity, that is the cost of delaying your dream. That energy, that passion, that just life, soul satisfying experience, let alone if someone else is part of the dream or you want to dedicate your dream to someone, right? It's St. Andrews or Band of Brothers. Like, which are you going to choose? I'll throw it up. There's a quote from a palliative care nurse in Australia who wrote a book. She'd spent years in hospice helping patients who were dying. And she was asked, what are the regrets, right? Let's learn from the people who've gone before us so we don't make the same mistakes. And so I'll throw the quote up. But essentially, their biggest regret was that they didn't live their own life. They didn't pursue their own dreams. They lived the life they thought they were supposed to live. And then it was too late. So, we're mortal. That is part of the beauty and curse of being human. So there's a huge cost in not pursuing your dream. Whether it's the frustration and angst of it's just not going to be possible for me, and that's the head heart space you live in, or the trying to temporarily satisfy this longing in your heart by picking up the tab at restaurants of fellow caregivers that's temporary but not that deep soul satisfying, or at some point the opportunity is going to go away and you will no longer be able to pursue your dream. You'll no longer be able to take your father to St. Andrews. That is why I'm so passionate about do it now. Start now. So once you've accomplished your dream, like the client that I was mentioning who wrote an amazing book in 2 years, or me helping my dad make his dream come true, or all of the others that you'll meet through this masterclass and through Dream Camp, you start operating on a different level. Once you realize that this is possible, right? Vacation Arwen is possible in the real world. I have the capacity to do these incredible things all the time. Not that I choose to make a dream happen every day in, day out. Like sometimes I need to rest and recharge my own batteries. But knowing that I have the capacity, that spills over into every area of your life. I'm more powerful at work because I know I can do it. I'm more powerful if I see a problem in my community. I'm like, hey, let's fix this. I'm more powerful and can be an advocate for my own tribe, right? I can be one of those 1 to 3 people that when someone's doing something hard, they know they can come to me. Been there, done that, have the t-shirt. Here was my experience. Hey, get ready. This might happen for you. This is what happened to me. Oh yeah, you just tripped and stumbled? Got it. Here, let me show you my scars. And you know what? Get up anyway. Do it anyway. You're terrified that you might fail? Totally get that. Keep going, right? You just start operating at this different level because you're connected to your power. You become more unapologetically who you are. You recognize the value of your gifts, your talents, your wisdom. And once you're in that space, you like want to share it with everyone. You want everyone to be in this space. And so you're willing to spend the time and help. Oh, you want to do that? Absolutely. Whether that person is your child or a complete stranger, you have this need to rock and roll because it feels so good and you see the impact it has. So you're building these qualities, you're sharing them with others, and you're just operating on a completely different level. Your responsibilities won't change. I mean, maybe you make some decisions and make some changes in your life, but you're still a parent, you're still a spouse, you're still an employee, you've got a job, right? Some of that may change. Maybe you open a business and quit your job. I don't know. But you're still going to have responsibilities. You're still going to be a member of a community, a member of a society. You have responsibilities, and those don't change, but your approach to your life is completely transformed because now you recognize your power, you know your worth, you invest your time, and expect those investments to pay off. So like I said, once you've made your dream happen, you're probably not going to be binge watching Law and Order, at least not as much, because you recognize the value of your time. You recognize what you could be doing with that time, the cool, fun things you could be experiencing, the cool things you could be creating in the world, right? You're just lit up in a way, and you have a more rich, deeper, more soul-satisfying, meaningful experience of the world. And you're role modeling that for all of the people in your life and encouraging them, hey, wait, Arwen did that? I know Arwen. If Arwen can do that, I definitely can do it, right? That's what you create. That is the power of making your own dream happen and the cascading impact you can have on your world, whether it's your world or it's the world, right? Like capital T, the world. So that's the transformation. That's the opportunity that's available for you and your tribe, the people who are most important to your life, and the complete strangers, right? Like the postman, like the people that are in your life that you don't even know are paying attention to what you're doing. It's amazing. It's amazing how powerful we each are and the impact, positive or negative, that we have on those in our world. And you may never know, right? You may never know the impact you've had, but you're having an impact. And that's what we all want. We all want to be seen for who we are, and we want to know that our being here made a difference. And as you pursue a dream and accomplish it and show that there's this whole other way of living, you will absolutely do both of those things. You will be seen and you will have a meaningful impact. Pursuing your dream reveals more of who you are in such a powerful way that you stop caring about the little stuff, right? The what I was talking at the beginning of this lesson, and even we talked a little bit about last lesson about, curated Facebooks and perfect meals and looking the part and right, like having the right house and the right car and the right spouse and the right kids and going to the right schools and like all of that stuff becomes far less important and sort of falls away because now you're doing something that matters. You are pursuing something specific, something important to you, whether it is learning a language, whether it's going to outer space, starting a business, writing a book, creating a national resource center for caregivers, right? It can be altruistic. It doesn't have to be. Just you pursuing your heart's desire opens things up for others because now they see an example of you're more yourself. You're sharing who you really are. You are now making a soul connection because you're talking about your heart's desire, the wish your heart made. So a little bit of your spirit you're sharing, and you're no longer in this sort of, I call it sort of surface, small talk stuff. Now you're engaged in conversations about things that really are important to you in a way that's very approachable, engaging, and has no judgment, right? Because it's not a I'm right, you're wrong. We have so much polarization and red, blue, conservative, liberal, black, white. Like we have so much of those categories pulling us apart. And pursuing a dream, pursuing your heart's goal, like busts through all of that, because now you're making a soul-to-soul connection. And you're being brave and courageous, but you've been being brave and courageous pursuing your dream for so long that it no longer even feels like you're being brave and courageous, because you're just sharing your heart's desire. And the fact of the matter is, I'm making my dream happen, and here's where I'm at. Or I've made my dream happen, and here was my experience. Watching my dad walk into this room full of tanks and trucks, and they all are on, and the loudness and the kid Christmas morning, you gotta do it. Seriously. Right? And so me sharing that soul, just like I got a little worked up talking about my granddad and my dad, but sharing that, I have no embarrassment about it because it's just that good. And that is how you start to get shiny and sparkly and bright, and you become a light in the world. All of this is fantastic. Great, Artwood. I love it. I'm engaged. I'm excited. And you mentioned wrestling with alligators. You mentioned that there were going to be some obstacles. What do I do about that? How do I make those happen? Okay, so let's take a little time and talk through that. There's, to my mind, my experience, there's sort of two categories that this stuff falls into. You've got obstacles that are real, and you've got obstacles that are imagined. My experience, the real obstacles, they do exist, but there aren't as many as you would think. The majority of the time, we have these imagined obstacles that prevent us from even getting started. Or we run up against our first imagined obstacle and we stop. So let's unpack the imagined obstacles first. For the most part, and we talked a little bit about this last time, but for the most part, my observation is, and the reason that I even call them imagined, is because they're tied to your beliefs. So if you believe that the only way to write a book is to quit your job and dedicate 2 years to writing the book, then you've just created obstacles that you have to overcome the obstacle to be able to pursue the dream, right? So that's what I'm talking about, that his experience was, oh, wait, he didn't need to quit his job. But for 8 years, he thought that that was a necessary prerequisite to achieving his dream, right? So the first thing is to take some time and look at, okay, so what are the things that I think let's look at this obstacle. Is this really the only way that this can happen? Sometimes it might be, right? Like for me to go to outer space, I'm going to need a rocket ship. I don't know what that's going to look like. And frankly, I don't care. I'm going to let Richard Branson and the gang, I'm going to let them figure it out. So I have to be patient with that dream. Right? And a rocket ship, that is a legit obstacle that today is probably beyond my capacity. That's a real obstacle. And in the back of my, I'm clued in, I'm waiting, I'm saving my money because, the ticket's going to cost something. I'm saving my money, but somebody's working on that. So that's a dream that, okay, I can let them work on it. But there are tons of dreams that I've got going, like DreamMakers, making a million dreams happen, that's one that I need to get started, right? I need to make it official. We need to like cut the red ribbon. We're officially open, right? We've made dreams happen. Let's start a ticker counting till we get to that million number. So first is writing down the obstacle and then seeing, is this obstacle real or imagined? And one of the best ways that I have found to help you figure that out is the work done by a woman named Byron Katie. And so I'll include the questions and I'll include a link to her stuff because her stuff is really good, powerful. It's a way to deal with limiting beliefs. And it's a great way to figure out if your obstacle is real or imagined. This is her process, right? The work. So you've got your statement, you've got your obstacle. To make my dream come true, I have to quit my job. Okay? So the first question, is that true? To write my book, I have to quit my job. Yeah, well, I mean, it feels true for sure. Because if I didn't think that was true, then I would have already written the book, right? Second question. So first question, is it true? Heck yes, it's true. Second question, can you absolutely know it's true? Well, absolutely. I have to quit my job to write the book? No, I can't there are few absolutes in the world. I can't absolutely know. Third question, how do you react? What happens when you believe the thought that I have to quit my job to write my book? I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm annoyed, right? It doesn't feel good to have this thought that I can't pursue my dream of writing a book until I quit my job. So, who would you be without that thought? So if I didn't believe that I couldn't write my book until I quit my job, I might be someone who wrote my book. I'd feel freer for sure. I don't know, maybe there would be another way that I would be an author. Right? So you start to play with, each question gives you a way to play with the beliefs, the perspective, the ideas that are floating around in your head, the things that you're telling yourself day in, day out that you're not even aware of. That as I'm walking through this, hopefully you're starting to see the shift happening. I'd been limiting myself and completely unaware of it. So these are great questions to go through. So the next question is, or the next part of the process is, find the turnarounds. So this is where you take the statement and you start to play with it. So the statement is, I have to quit my job to be able to pursue my dream of writing my book. Well, I have to keep my job to be able to pursue my dream of writing my book. That might feel true. Writing my book makes me better at my job. Maybe that might be true. I don't have to quit my job to pursue my book dream. I can pursue my book dream anyway. Okay, so now you're right, like, and you can keep playing with it. I'm trying to do this fast so that I can get you out of here on time. But there's a huge power, right? Like, things are starting to shift and open up. Then the last piece is, I am willing to, I look forward to. And this is where you start to fill in, okay, so I am willing to pursue my book dream now. I look forward to finding time every day to write my book. Right? So it's a great, like I said, I'll include the questions, like the process that you go through, but it's a great way when you're thinking your thought about your dream, about whether or not it's possible, whether or not you could start today to make your dream come true, Byron Katie's The Work is a great tool to use to work your way through it. Because, for example, shift to a real obstacle, right? To go to outer space, I need a ship. Does that feel true? Absolutely. Can you absolutely know that it's true? Yes. I have never seen, heard about anyone going to outer space and surviving that didn't go in some sort of spaceship. Okay. That is a real obstacle. So now I can work those real obstacles, because all of the imagined obstacles, I've gone, wait a minute, that's imagined. That's a problem that I don't have to solve. I can just poof it away. Because now I can believe, right? I can change the things I think. I have control over the things I believe. I can believe that to write my book, I don't have to quit my job. Okay, that just in 30 seconds. I made that imagined obstacle disappear. So now I can get about the business of what are the real obstacles. Plot problems and finding an editor and, right, like those are the real problems of making your dream happen. And so the work is a great tool to use to sift through what are the problems that you actually need to work through and work out, and what are the problems that you're making up in your mind to make your dream harder. Let's get rid of all of those imaginary problems, those imagined obstacles. And I don't mean to be, I hope I don't come across as flippant, because I know when you're in the throes of it, those feel like legitimate problems. Those feel like real obstacles. It doesn't feel like it's something in your head. It doesn't feel imagined. I know when I sat down to lunch and he was like, look, I've had this book idea for 8 years and I just don't have the cash. I don't have 2 years worth of salary saved up, which very few people have that kind of, like, that's a crazy obstacle to overcome. Not that it can't be done, right? We could have gone down a path of coming up with a way to save 2 years' salary if that were a real obstacle, right? Like quitting your job and traveling around the world for 2 years, that's going to require some cash. And in that circumstance, under those conditions, that becomes a real problem, like figuring out where you're going to get your spaceship. That becomes a real problem, and that's a problem we can work, right? I teach Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. The number of people who have gotten out of crazy amounts of debt and saved or paid off hundreds of thousands of dollars in 2 or 3 years is mind-blowing. It's amazing what people can accomplish when they put their mind to it. I am willing to, I look forward to, right? But sifting out what's a real problem that I got to work and what's an imaginary problem that I am just making this harder on myself. So to make your dream happen, you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. You got to take action. You got to believe that your dream is possible. You got to have the grit, determination to just continue the discipline, little tiny baby steps, right? Like making your dream come true, pursuing your dream does not have to upend your entire life. Pursuing your dream is realizing that you can be vacation Arwen in your everyday life. It's a way to enrich, empower, make your life even more meaningful. So it's all positive. Now it may shake some things up because you're now realizing, hey, wait, I'm way stronger than I thought I was, right? When there used to be a circus and they would have elephants, right? Like all of this is gone, but 100 years ago, Barnum and Bailey's, they would have the way they would control these huge animals that have incredible power is when the elephant was a baby elephant, they would put a stake in the ground and heavy, thick chain, like handcuffs for elephants. So it'd be shackled. And the baby elephant would pull and pull and pull and tug and, at first try to do everything possible to get away. But the stake was in the ground too deep, and the chain was way too strong for the baby elephant to break. And so the baby elephant learned, I'm just stuck here. This is just the way life is. And the baby elephant grew and grew and grew. So then you have a big elephant, a grown adult elephant, staked to the ground, same stake, I think, I don't know, and same chain, basically. The elephant has changed, but isn't aware of the changes. And so it never tries to pull against the chain and break free, because it learned a long time ago that that wasn't possible, right? Those are the kinds of changes that will happen to you as you go through and make your dream happen. You will realize, oh, wait on. Whoa. Hold up. I'm grown. I'm stronger now. I can do more. I can break free from the shackles that have held me back, have held me down, right? I'm no longer a baby elephant. I'm a grown elephant, and I can go off and do whatever I want. So those are the kinds of transformation. I just like elephants. Those are the kinds of transformational changes that will happen to you. How you see yourself, how you see and cherish your gifts, how you understand your capacity. Those things will change. But the day in, the people that you love, the work that you love, the meaningful impact that you want to have in the world, that'll still be there. But there's a richness and a power that comes to your life as you pursue your dream. And that's what I want for you. That's what your dream extravaganza. That's why it's an extravaganza, because that is what I want for you. Until we get together next, a couple of things that I invite you to consider. The first is, who do you want to be? Right? If you had it all your way, in a word, who do you want to embody? Maybe it's love. Maybe it's possibility. Maybe it's debt-free. Whatever, who is it that you think you are? If you were to reveal your true self, your heart's whisper, who are you? Who do you want to be, right? Just so you have a touchstone as you're growing and expanding into this new, I'm a dream maker. I make dreams happen. That's a good one, right? As you start to take on a new belief, you can do it. You are worthy. And you start to see yourself differently. What's a one-word touchstone? Dream maker. Love. Strength. Power. Peace. Acceptance. Adventure. What is the one word? The second that I want to invite you is, as you go through your day with your word, I am a dream maker, play the hot cold game. Does this activity, am I bringing my dream? Am I behaving like a dream maker in this meeting? Does this feel like I'm getting closer to being a dream maker? Or is this taking me far, far away from who it is I want to be, who I know myself to be? And so I'm just stuck in an 8-hour conference call. My capacity to make dreams has been completely sapped. Right? Just start to see, what are the circumstances, what are the things that help you become more of the person you want to be, the person who pursues your dreams. Right? Is this taking me closer to building the dream maker muscle that I can accomplish my dream, or is this taking me further away? And then the last, if you know what your dream is, just write down, what are all of the reasons that you haven't made your dream happen yet? I got to quit my job. I don't know how to do this. I have to wait until such and such, or this or that, right? Write all of the things you know to be true about why you can't pursue your dream today. And then go through the work. Is it true? Can you absolutely 100% know it's true? How do you feel when you believe that it is true? Who would you be if you didn't believe it was true? Is there a way to turn around that statement? And I am willing to, I look forward to, right? Go through the process, go through the work to determine, is this a real obstacle that, okay, so to pursue my dream, if I'm going to go to outer space, I'm going to have to get a rocket ship. That's a real obstacle that's worth investing your time and energy to solve. Versus, I have to quit my job to write a book. Oh, I don't have to wrestle that gator. I can just poof it away doing the work. So now I can shift and focus my energy on the actual obstacles, the actual problems that I need to solve. And they go from being these big things that you have to deal with that are just controlling you, right? I mean, I'm half joking about wrestling gators, but it goes from being this huge thing that there's so many and there's no way to get over it and to wait a minute, I just sorted out real from imaginary. And 90% of the obstacles I had were just imaginary. Now I've got a handful of legitimate problems, and then you can just work the problem, right? We're all excellent problem solvers because that's what life is, right? There are problems that will just pop up. And when you're like, this is a real problem. The car got stuck. All right. I need to call AAA. I need to call my neighbor to help pull me out of the snowdrift. You know, whatever it is, it becomes something that you can work, something that's manageable. Because there are really only a few true obstacles. The rest of it is stuff that we tell ourselves to keep us sitting on the couch, binge watching Law and Order, instead of pursuing making 1 million dreams happen globally. All right, guys. I love that you are sending in your questions. You're thinking about this content. You're taking it to heart and really starting to shift some things. If you have questions, post them here. I'll try and answer as many as I can live in the next lesson, or I will put them together in a frequently asked questions document. So make sure we've got your email if we don't have it already. But get out there. Start to sort out what are the real problems you need to work and what are the imaginary obstacles, limiting beliefs that have been holding you back. You can do this. I love that you're halfway through. We're halfway through our masterclass. You can make your dream come true. Only you can make your dream happen. I love that you are pursuing it and that this is the way you are showing your love this month of love. Fantastic. I can't wait to see your questions. You've got this. You are exquisite. You are the only one who can make your dream come true. With a little help, with a little support, but you are essential. Without you, there is no dream. All right, guys, it's been fantastic. I will see you in a few days.